And I would go to my mom and I'd ask her certain questions like, hey, mom, did this happen in our family? Was there any history of sexual abuse? Because my body is telling me a story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I feel this way, but I feel this way.
Mm-hmm.
Why I've never been sexually assaulted, but I navigate the world. I'm hypersensitive of my surroundings. I remember before we had our son, I went to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I started working out again, and I told like my trainer, I'm like, I want strength and stamina. So if someone is chasing me, I am able to run to save my life. Taking all these precautions,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just like, why are these things coming up for me?
For questions, comments, and to show your support, visit us on the web at afroempath.com. Oh, it's not about your being. I just felt connected to you. I just felt drawn to you from the get go. And
Wow, that's crazy.
yeah, yeah. And then I visited. This is my empathic intuition type thing. So then
Yeah, of course.
Then I visited your page and I saw you have it says wholesome mind healing coach. Yeah.
Yeah, health coach. Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw you had a post. You're talking about it says, hi, my name's Nikki and I have high functioning anxiety, and you have a post talking about it.
Yeah, that was my first time sharing that with the world,
Mm-hmm.
really. And there's a lot of people in my family don't realize that I have that. So that was really huge, and it was truly a struggle, but I
Mm-hmm.
had to get it out there for whomever else is in that situation. So
Yeah.
plus I'm an introvert, right? So
Yeah.
clearly like I just want to hide, but
Of course. Yeah.
yeah, when those things come up, I do have the tendency to just, go inward and just kind of hide,
Yeah.
like go into hiding.
Mm-hmm.
But I am trying to do better and put myself out there, especially now.
Yeah.
I live in Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
so we have pretty horrible winters. And around October to about May, like I fall off the grid. It's just tough, and so I just deal with it. But I am putting myself out there and trying not to do that and just stay connected with people, you know.
What do you mean by fall off the grid in terms of
Like
just going in
people,
full hermit mode, full introvert mode? You mean?
pretty much. So like
Yeah.
prior to me starting like my business, I would come off social media. Like I
Mm-hmm.
would deactivate all my accounts for like 6 months plus. Nobody, like you barely got me through text. I take the phone battery out of my phone. Like if we weren't living in the same house, you weren't gonna hear from me.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I literally, now I'm thinking about it, it's like a hibernation for me. I just go into
Yeah.
hibernation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So from what I know in terms of the seasons and things like that, spiritually speaking, these months here, these colder months like October and things like that, it's a time for us to like go within and recharge. You know what I'm trying to say? Now, as introverts, we do that pretty much throughout the year, regardless,
Pretty much.
to some degree. But
Yes.
it's a way for everybody to kind of be forced into that mode to some degree. Does that make sense?
Yes, I get what you're saying. And you know what? I never looked at it in that sense. Like that's a good thing. Like
Yes.
nothing blooms year round, you know?
Exactly. So
So
we're cultivating, and then when the spring comes out, then we get to spread that light to the world and go out and and move about and things like that.
wow, that's definitely a different outlook. I never thought about it like that. That's why I'm so grateful for you and for the community that you've created because honestly, before all of that, it was just me and a whole bunch of people saying you're antisocial. Bless you. Why don't you do this? You need to stop doing that, and all these things, not really understanding why the winter was such a hard period for me. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that
Yeah, I mean,
perspective.
shoot, I embrace it, man. I embrace it, and I,
Yes.
I just had someone, somebody, my brother, part of some of my family members were, like, you should come out, or, I'm like, oh, I can't right now. My car is, in the shop. They're like, oh, we'll pick you up, and I'm like, I really just don't want, I really just don't want to go out right now. Okay, like, I told them, I said, I'm in full introvert mode. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I hear
and it's
that.
nothing. It's nothing personal. I just need time to myself. Like, we live in the Western society, right? So
Right.
there, and if I lived in India or something like that, who I was would be a little more understood. I'm trying to say, because I
Wow.
would right now I'm like an urban monk. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
But if I live in a
I feel you.
if I live in a society where it would be normal for men to go off and go into the wilderness and retreat and things like that, and find themselves and find God, it would be it would be a little more understood and a little more accepted, because that there's societies that are grounded in that, and this is
Right.
yeah. So we live in a culture that doesn't quite understand the importance or value the importance of people that are a little more hermit like.
Right. No, and that's a super valid point. And I'm thinking about what you're saying, and it's starting to, just hearing it in that way, it's starting to make sense. I wish I had like those words to explain to people. I'm just like, I don't want to be bothered. I want to be alone. They're
Yeah.
like, are you okay? Are you this? I'm like, I just need to be alone.
Yeah. It's not. It has nothing to do with. I always tell people we have two responsibilities while we're on Earth: one, to know ourselves, and two, to know God. And so that's what we're doing.
Wow.
We're knowing
Yeah.
ourselves and knowing God. That's it. That's the only responsibility that we all have as individuals. Some people are going to get lost in the world and worldly things, and some people are going to find love, quote unquote, through attachment to others. But then they're always going to be disappointed, because those loves fade, and those loves come and go, and those loves have their ups and downs and their turbulence. You know what I'm trying to say? But when you
I get it.
yeah, when you find that love within through God, then it's like you're cultivating something that can never be shaken and never be taken from you. You know?
That is so powerful and so true.
Yeah, so that's
so true.
So that's what we're doing. We're all on a path to find that. Us as introverts, we're just cruising with Mustangs, and they have like a Ford Escort or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, so they're looking at us like, what are you doing? And you're like, hey,
Right.
I'm on the path, homeboy. You know what I'm trying to say? I can't necessarily explain what that is to you, because it's too ethereal for you to comprehend. But that's why this community is created, so people like us can not feel crazy while we're in the world and not of it.
Yes, and I feel like there are things that I say in the space, and like there's just a mutual general understanding. Like I don't have to explain anything or worry about offending anyone.
Yeah.
And I love that so much, because this life, my goodness.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It has been a headache.
Yeah, I can imagine. If you would, I want to know more about you. I want to kind of go into your childhood a little bit, and like, what's it like? You grew up in Toronto, you said. What's it like? What was your background like? Give me an example of how you began to realize, because you would consider yourself a highly sensitive person, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you're an empath, I take it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how did you, tell me about, we all kind of know we're different, but tell me about your experiences, and did you experience social isolation during childhood? Did you have any traumatic experiences that that shaped you or molded you? Give me a brief background about yourself, please.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to raise my hand and say I am the poster child of dysfunction.
Yeah.
My family is highly dysfunctional, and
Join the club.
thank you.
Join the club.
Oh my goodness. And I didn't necessarily see it growing up. It wasn't until really I got to university. I studied sociology, psychology, political science, philosophy, like all of those courses, but truly it was like society and sociology and psychology that really had opened up my mind to the things that were happening in my family, where it's just like, okay, this is a red flag, and just things that we never spoke about that were normalized. So
could you give me an example, or what? I don't want to pry too deep.
I was trying to think of an example that I could share. okay, so for instance, like the relationship between my mother and I,
Mm-hmm.
there were certain things that went down. Like she would, I don't know, she would say certain things and um okay, maybe I should back it up a little
Sure.
bit. So I was born in Toronto, but my family, they're from the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
So different upbringing. So my mom, loved us, always wanted us to excel. And whenever I would come home, and I do a test and I get 99%, she would say, well, where's the other 1%? So it's always like that feeling of never being enough. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you're not good enough. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why didn't you get like 110%? Like that kind of thing. So just being able to like realize where that was coming from. It was coming from a place of love, but obviously the delivery wasn't always in a loving way,
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that would be an example. But I was born in Toronto, but I actually grew up in the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
So different from city life. I feel so stifled right now living in the city.
Mm-hmm.
As an empath, someone that picks up on energies, it's just too much
Mm-hmm.
here. So I miss the suburbs. I want to go back out to, less people, fresher air, that type of thing, where I can
Mm-hmm.
sit under a tree and be a-okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just trying to think in terms of, okay, so you also mentioned social isolation. That is me, like 1000%. I was never the popular kid. Um, I was always like the dork in the corner. I was always like in a book, glasses, the whole shebang,
Mm-hmm.
braces, all that fun stuff. So that was me. I've always like enjoyed my own company. Like I said, I was always in the corner while everyone else was with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that was hard growing up because it's like, why can't you fit in with the other kids? Why don't you want to go play with the other kids? I remember being in university and my mom saying to me, because I was always either in the library
Mm-hmm.
or I was at home. When I wasn't working, I worked multiple jobs, but when I wasn't working my jobs, I'd be at home studying. And she always said, why don't you get out the house? Like, why don't you go to a club? Like,
A club?
other young people your age.
That's
Yeah.
interesting to hear a mother tell a daughter to go to a club, but go ahead.
The irony about that is like before when my friends wanted to go, I was still in university and I'd
Yeah.
be like, Ma, can I go to a club? She's like, oh, I prayed about it and, I don't really think it's good. But anyways, I guess she got fed up because I was always at home,
Mm-hmm.
always. So she wanted me to just, I don't know, just get out there and do something
Yeah.
to get out the house. I'm such a homebody, obviously.
Yes.
But yeah, so that was rough. That's been like a theme growing up. And because of that, a lot of people would always say, you're so stuck up, you're snobby. They just didn't have the understanding, And I'm quiet, I'm shy too.
Yeah.
So that was not helpful. So that was pretty challenging to navigate. And I always say, like, I wish I had the information then that I had now.
Yeah.
Because it would have made such a huge difference. I would have had
There really wasn't that much information about this
Gosh,
back then. You know what I'm trying to say?
no.
How old are you if you don't mind giving out?
I am 30 years old.
Okay, I'm 35, so we're not too far apart. So, but yeah,
No,
I
we're
don't.
not.
This kind of information about the high sensitive person and empath and things that just kind of started coming out, not too long ago, honestly. So,
Oh, okay, good.
yeah.
That's
So
good to know.
yeah, and so that's why I'm creating this podcast and this forum, just so we can have a place to be understood. You know what I'm trying to say? So we don't feel
Yeah,
so
no,
alone and
for
isolated. Like
sure.
there's other people that are out there like us. It's
And that's the thing. That's
yeah.
the beauty of social media. I
Yeah.
have like a love-hate relationship with it,
Mhm.
but I love it because of the connection that it brings. Bringing people together
Mhm.
who have, similar upbringings
Yeah.
or, things of that nature. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, it's a love relationship at this point because I've made it that way. I've had my struggles with it, but the thing is that I realized that like I have to. I'm very disciplined in life and disciplined in my spiritual practice, and I just
Right.
take that philosophy to the internet, And
Yeah,
so
you're right.
I basically, I'm like, okay, I have the ability to change the way my experience is by adding certain plugins and and making sure I don't see certain news articles and
Yes.
friends posts and family posts and things like that. And that's what I've done.
You're right.
Since that time, and after creating this group, I look forward to it because I'm hanging around people like you every day.
Right. And that's so, so, so important. Like,
Yes.
I can't even stress enough.
Yeah.
I can't, like, community of like-minded people is so
Yeah.
important because I know we are all born into our own communities, but honestly, like, the only thing sometimes I feel that ties us together is our bloodline, like, really.
Yes, absolutely.
So I am grateful for that.
So speaking of that, I mean, you have now, I guess, kind of you're a mother, right? You're a stay-at-home mother, but you
Yes.
also have like a side business, right? Where you're doing life coaching and holistic healing and things like that. Now, what? Let me ask you this: as a black woman, right? You seem like you're
Yeah.
somewhat of a pro-black woman. I could tell.
How can you tell?
I can just tell. I can just tell. Because I looked in your Facebook post. Saw your Facebook post, and you have some women on there that are sisters that are talking about their struggles in terms of this one sister. She's talking about she created a podcast for black women who are in the process of healing and are kind of pro-black themselves, but they're saying that can I be pro-black but still have conversations with white women and not have this kind of guilt, kind of painful type thing? Can I just be myself? I'm trying to say, because in order for me to heal as a black woman, I have to come to the realization that I have trauma in my DNA. And that's going to affect my children if I don't heal it. And I cannot act as if it's not there. And I'm not trying to offend white people by my healing. It's just part of my healing. It's not always going to necessarily be pretty. It's not always going to be something that you can understand. But what I'm trying to say? So do you ever feel like you are in this whole healing thing but still like a little bit on an island of your own, or what?
That is a great question.
Be honest.
It is challenging trying to navigate it.
Yeah.
I've been through different stages of this healing because growing up, the education I have now about quote unquote like blackness, like our history, where we're from, was lacking previously. So I kind of grew up, like my mom always made sure that we knew, like, growing up, you have to work twice as hard. You have 2 strikes against you. You're a woman and you are a black woman. So like that awareness was there. But as to the depth that white supremacy permeates every aspect of our being, that wasn't always there. So that's been a journey and trying to figure out, okay, like if I am pro-black, does that mean I'm like anti-white? And it's such a conflict for us because of where we're coming from, our lineage, it's mixed. It's all over the place. So it's like, do we turn around and hate our quote unquote forefathers because of, like, it's so complex. It's complex for me as an individual. It's complex for my ancestor because it's like it's coming from somewhere, right? And then it's complex for my children as well, because she's right. Like we do have that trauma in our genes and we do need to heal. Otherwise, what legacy are we leaving for our children? I'm still working my way through it. It's complicated.
I understand, but my thing is, do you feel, as an empath and as a spiritual being, do you feel like you have to hold back or like negate certain aspects of yourself in terms of your public image, in terms of being a holistic healer?
I do. There's a lot of things that I don't talk about publicly that I speak to my husband about because he's really supportive of it. But that's another thing too, like I'm coming into this and I understand race, and race is a social construct, so it's like, as the energy or like spiritual beings that we are, do we need to concern ourselves with these worldly things. And there's a part of me that says yes, because we are living in this white supremacist society. And a lot of people make the argument that, if you cut us, we all bleed blood. Yes, that's true. And it would be nice if we couldn't see color, but unfortunately that's not how this society is set up. So it's like, it's still something that, like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think what you're trying to say is basically that if you have to ignore something or overlook it, and it has been a problem, that means that you're either afraid of it or that the seed of God within you is not powerful enough to deal with it. You know what I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm. And to be honest, it affects us. It affected you, and obviously it's going to affect your children if not dealt with. So we have to deal with it.
Of course,
we have to deal with it. So this whole holistic, everybody right now is into some type of healing. You know what I'm trying to say? Whether it's yoga, meditation, oils, incense, something. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
But what are we healing from? A lot of that healing we're healing from is traumatic things within our DNA.
Yeah.
So if we don't openly and honestly talk about that, then we're not going to get anywhere, because it's we have our children are going out with other children. So it's like, of all different backgrounds, so,
mm-hmm.
the world is becoming smaller and smaller, and we're being forced to deal with the reality of what happened. So we need to speak about it, because love, you can't have love without truth, Yeah.
That is very, very true. I agree with that statement.
So, this kind of brings me into the next topic I want to talk about with you panic attacks. Right.
Yes.
And I have a theory about panic attacks. And I really do feel this way, that a lot of the times when we have panic attacks, it's because we're playing something out within our DNA. You understand epigenetics, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I've noticed is that most people have panic attacks in public places.
Yes.
And it's my understanding that those public places, when we're around all different types of cultures and all different types of people, it brings out issues where we don't feel safe because we're not around our tribe. You know what I'm trying to say?
That's interesting. Okay. Please speak on that more.
Well, I've talked about it in the podcast before. Like, for example, this happens to me a lot in the supermarket, right? Where I'm playing out issues within my DNA in terms of race, right? So I'll be walking. This is me as a man, right? I'll be walking behind a white woman, right? And I'm conscious in my mind, don't get too close to her, because that might mean danger for me. It may not actually mean danger for me, but in my DNA, I'm sensing the anxiety of that action if I'm too close to her, because that might alert somebody to be like, hey, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because somewhere in my DNA, right, a black man was killed for walking too close or glancing or saying something or whistling or something, I'm trying to say, or something like that, Mm-hmm. Right?
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying that we play out the things, I believe that, obviously you understand epigenetics. So we have a ghost in our DNA. You know what I'm trying to say? Of all of those that have existed, So it's like, that has to be healed within us. And I feel that a lot of times when we're going through panic attacks, it's because there's something within our DNA that has not healed yet. I'm trying to say it's experience that has not healed yet, that has not been dealt with. I'm trying to say, and so we're playing it out in these public arenas because we haven't dealt with it internally yet.
That is, I agree with what you're saying. I believe that too. And there have been things that have come up in our family, and I'm like, why do we not talk about it?
Yeah.
There were so many things that I'm going to be the one to call people out, and I've called my family out. I'm just like, why are we not talking about these things? Mm-hmm. We need to talk about these things. We need to heal collectively. Like, we need to do this. Because whatever, issues you guys have between you guys, it's trickling down to us.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I'll speak for my own mother. Like, the things that she didn't deal with, and she had her side. I spoke about it in the podcast before, but her side of the family, man, came from all types of trauma, from sexual trauma, some physical trauma, all types of abandonment and neglect issues on with her father and things like that.
Of course. Yeah.
So that got passed on to me, through
So memory's real.
yeah, exactly. That got passed on to me. Exactly. It got passed on to me through the DNA, but also got passed on to me by her treatment of me. You know what I'm trying to say? And,
yes.
And so it's like if your mother's father is abusive or is neglectful, and then that woman has abandonment issues, then that void in her, she doesn't fill it with God. She's going to fill it with a man. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
That man can never fill it. Right.
Right.
And so so she eventually splits up from that man, not realizing she never found the root of her problem. You know what I'm trying to say? She never healed it. So now she's angry with my father because she's no longer with my father. You know what I'm trying to say? And so she takes out that she sees my father in me, and she takes out that abuse on me physically.
Yes.
You know what I'm trying to say? And that all started with a change from her father being abusive to her.
Of course. And then it's like, okay, he was abusive, but what happened to him in his childhood to make him react?
The thing is, and I keep saying, and I've talked about it before, like we come from a history of slavery where we were physically and sexually abused.
Yes.
You know what I'm trying to say? On the regular. On the regular.
Yes.
It's a real thing that happened to us. And so these sicknesses, they may not have been there within us before that time period, but they're there now. So they have to be dealt with. You know what I'm trying to say?
I agree.
So
I agree.
Yeah,
1000%.
Absolutely. So it's like, okay, so that's my job as an empath, to come in and take on these issues and to heal from them, so we can ascend. So I'm active in that process and conscious of that process. And a large part of this podcast and in our Facebook group is to help people in their journey of going inward and dealing with that.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
That's such a beautiful initiative, because it is so, so, so needed. But so many people, to be honest with you, don't even realize
exactly
that they even need to heal, because the trauma runs so deep.
Exactly. And we cover it up, and we blame, oh, well, our men ain't shit, or our women ain't shit, or
yes.
It's
my goodness.
Or yeah. So yeah.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah, that would be our next topic. But real quick, I want to talk about your I don't necessarily. I wouldn't say I've had a full blown panic attack, but I've had situations where I've had to be I've been at the store, and I begin to feel myself getting kind of hot, and a little flashes, and I just closed my eyes, and I just took a deep breath, Lewis, calm down. It was like when I was at the cash register. I wasn't up there yet before, but getting checked out, but I was the next person to go. And there's people, there's a large cart behind me, so I couldn't get out. I couldn't move backwards. I couldn't go forward. I was just kind of waiting. And I don't know what it was. Something about maybe me overthinking about the cashier or something like that. Is she gonna be nice to me, or am I gonna look at her? That kind of weird,
right?
That weird, that moment when you're next to a cashier, you're not sure, should I make eye contact? Do I really care to make eye contact? Should I, all these thoughts run through your mind. You know what I'm trying to say? And then there is the racial component. Oh well, does she have an issue to, does she want to bag my groceries as a black man or something like that? Is an issue?
Right.
So there's all these little things that kind of come through, and like I said, all those things from the past begin to flood into your nervous system. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
All that things in your DNA that were not resolved begin to play out there, and then you begin to start going into panic mode. And so I just took a deep breath, and I, for me, it's been a process of not feeling like a weirdo when you're closing your eyes in a public store and taking a deep breath, because I realized, you know what? Maybe somebody will see me, maybe someone won't see me. I don't know. But the point is that if I don't do this now, I'm going to look a lot worse when I get up to the cashier.
I get it.
I want you to walk me through your own process of a panic attack. Let's talk about maybe one or two. Let's talk about your most recent and how you dealt with it.
Okay. So the last panic attack I had, I was actually at my chiropractor's office, and the office is a really small space, and there were a lot of people in it. There was an issue that morning. The power had gone out, so there were people that were waiting previously for their appointment. Just everyone got backed up, and people were talking. So here comes the highly sensitive person in me. There was a lot of stimulus in my environment. There were a lot of people. They were talking obnoxiously and super loudly. and it triggered me. I was triggered. So my husband, I was there with my family, and my husband realized that I was having an anxiety attack.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, babe, do your 5-5-7 breathing.
How
And
did he realize it? How did he realize? I want to know. How did he realize that?
How did he realize that? He's seen it happen before.
Okay.
So
he knows what to look for.
Yeah, he does know what to look for.
Gotcha.
So, so I started doing my 5-5-7 breathing, and that breathing technique is basically inhaling for 5 seconds, holding your breath for 5 seconds, and then exhaling slowly for 7 seconds. And that breathing is all done through your diaphragm, not through your chest, just to really take the air in, to calm everything down, to center, to ground you. So that was one thing I did. And another thing I did was use my essential oils. There's this blend called Balance. It is a grounding blend, and I can't even speak enough about it. It has helped me tremendously with all my, brain and mood health issues that I have with anxiety, depression, and all that stuff. I just put a drop in my hand and put my hand over my nose and just inhale that as I was breathing for further support. And that particular day, I had my phone with me, and so I played some jazz music because I love jazz music. So those are a few things that I do whenever I'm experiencing any type of attack. If I have it close by, I'll drink water as well, because water cleanses and purifies and helps to ground as well. So those are a few things that I use, a few techniques.
Gotcha. Do you sell these essential oils that you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
I do have I am a wellness advocate, a distributor for a company called doTERRA. So I do I don't have them on hand, but it's ordered through a website. And
gotcha. That's fine. I just want to give you a little shout out there in case anybody listening that wants to find you at the end.
Thanks.
One other tip I can help give to people that have these things with panic attacks is also try and be grounded, eat eating like a high I told this sister to have a protein bar on hand, because being protein will help ground you. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Now you're a vegetarian, right?
Plant-based.
Plant-based, gotcha. Well, so there's still plant-based protein that you can grab. So that's another little tip I'd like to throw out there. If you can remember to, when you're going out somewhere, to be grounded in terms of take on a good level of protein, that'll help kind of balance your blood sugar levels and things like that, I find.
That is very, very, very true. And another thing I would add to the food is you want to eat grounding foods.
Yes.
It's foods coming from the earth as well. Your sweet potatoes, things of that nature. Anything coming from the ground. That's also helpful.
All right. So the next topic I want to get in with you, because this is something you expressed you want to talk about. Oh gosh. we were talking about on the page. We're talking about femininity. I'm trying to say, and just you said that you said you had some kind of journey, and I'd be curious to know more about it. Basically, here's what I wrote, and this is not what I talked about, but this is what there's a sister that's a femininity coach, and she spoke about it. Basically, her theory was that women that may be more masculine. You know what I'm trying to say? They'll magnetically attract more feminine men. You know what I'm trying to say? What some people might call beta males, and that women that are secure in their femininity, and that are not wounded and have healed from their wounds, have the ability to be sensitive and nurturing, will magnetically attract secure, masculine, protective, and supportive alpha male energy, because she possesses what he lacks, completing him, and vice versa. What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts.
Yeah.
It was interesting, to see that whole, dichotomy come up.
Yep.
Give me a second. Oh my gosh. I have to say, in my personal experience,
Yep.
I found that to be true
Hmm.
because my journey, I was like, I could relate to what I believe her name is Nicole, what Nicole was saying.
Yep.
I used to be that workhorse, you
Hmm.
know. I was have you seen the movie Think Like a Man?
I might have seen it a little bit.
Okay, well, I will say this. There is a character that Taraji P. Henson plays, and
Yep.
like she was her own man, and that was me,
Yep.
you know. And as a result of that, like
Hmm.
before meeting my husband, my dating, I didn't really, well, me not dating was my own choice.
Yep.
I needed the time to be with myself and look within and pull out all my skeletons. That way, if anyone came to me, there's nothing that they could tell me because I already knew it. I knew it
Hmm.
all, right? But yeah, basically, I was at Powerhouse, and you know, I never wanted kids. I had a girlfriend, you know, that told me that my degrees would be my babies, and I didn't need the comfort of a man because you know I could get a really expensive and nice comforter that would do the job.
What? Hold on. Hold on. Hold
You
on. Hold
know,
on. She actually told you that your degrees would be your man?
my
Your babies. Your babies. Okay, your
babies.
babies. Okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. But still,
Right.
that's
So
still kind
like
of sick though to hear. But anyway.
that was like the mindset I had, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, that was me. So I could totally relate to her,
Hmm.
what she was saying about the woman, and yeah, we got to be this. And she was talking about a lot of women that were, you know, fighting her to stay in the corporate world and all of that stuff. For me personally, like I'm never gonna speak to anyone else's household, but for us, like you know, I shared in the group when we found out we were pregnant. I decided that I was gonna leave my corporate job and stay home while my husband worked because that was what was best for our family, you know. And I
Hmm.
do a lot of the things she talks about, you know. I take care of our children. I intend to homeschool, you know, just keeping the house together. Like clutter and dirt and stuff gives me anxiety, so I'm
Hmm.
always cleaning, making sure that I'm able to prepare like home cooked meals for my family. That's really important to me because of all the crap that's happening outside of, you know, these four walls that we call our home,
Hmm.
you know? So I could relate to a lot of the things that she was saying in terms of, you know, women. And I'm actually like, I'm grateful that she what's the word I'm looking for? I guess like brings awareness to this lifestyle. Because to be honest, it was never on my radar, you know, being a stay-at-home anything. Like I didn't even want children. I never wanted to get married. That was just not who I was. You know, I was a powerhouse and I was gonna have this and I was gonna have that and, you know, do all that stuff without a man because who needed one, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
also my upbringing as well, like you know, my mom was a single mom and she got married, but even in her marriage she was still, you know, that woman Nicole talks about. She was, you know, wearing the pants.
Yeah.
So that's what I grew up seeing,
Yeah.
you know. So um when I met my husband, I was going through a transition in my life, and you know, he stepped up and we clashed because it's like he's trying to, you know, he's who he is who he is. He is, you know, trying to be like the male in our relationship, and I'm also trying to be the head, the male in our relationship as well, right? But I don't know what I'm trying to think back and to click on as to what triggered my change, but it is definitely not that way today. He's um I would say he is ahead. We do make decisions mutually. Like we run everything by each other.
Hmm.
But yeah, pretty much. We have like a modified version of what Nicole was talking about. But yeah, I do stay home with our children and he goes out there and, you know, provides
Hmm.
because that's what he does.
Hmm.
And I stay home and, you know, nurture
Hmm.
because that is what I do. So I think about the type of boys that, you know, were in my life before I met him. And yeah, I was a powerhouse. And yeah, you know, they were not stepping up. And, you know, so I would say that there is some truth to that in my experience.
So let
And
me.
ironically, like I've been healing myself throughout the years as well. You know, I'm
Mhm.
still on my healing journey. It's still a thing. It's still happening. So,
Yeah, yeah, and I think like this. I gotta try to. I'm gonna find the sister's name. Hold on. Her website is Inner Beauty TV by Nicole Michelle.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, so this is for our listeners. But anyway, basically what she was talking about is like especially as black people, like we come from legacies of trauma. And
Yeah.
in the corporate environment, and another thing I should say is that women are the keepers, like spiritually speaking and emotionally speaking, of the past. You know what I'm trying to say? So women carry with them the past, and men are more future oriented in their being. Can you agree with that? Have you ever thought about that?
I'm gonna have to take that one away.
Meaning that, okay, so like in the DNA sense, like the mitochondrial DNA, that
Okay,
that carries
I
with it.
get what you're saying.
That carries with all the things that have happened in the past. You know what I'm trying to say? That doesn't mean that when if I'm born, we have if we have the same mother and we're both born with that, we're both going to have things from our mother that deal with the past. But I'm saying that like women more so than men, I would say women are stronger emotionally than men are. I'm trying to say internally, right?
Okay, I understand that. Yeah, I agree with
and
that.
so I think that women are by their nature better healers and more natural healers. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I agree with that. I very much agree because
Yeah.
that is one of the hats I wear here. Someone's
Yeah.
sick, I'm like whipping out my herbs and essential oils and all that stuff.
Exactly. And so I'm saying that the corporate environment does not allow, generally speaking, for women to heal. You know what I'm trying to say?
No, not at all. It's like we are like men. We are men in like dresses basically. In that space.
Exactly. So I'm just saying that really emotions and dealing with your feelings and like you said, pulling your skeletons out of your closet does really has no place in the corporate world.
Not at all. The corporate world is not conducive to that at all. And I've had breakdowns. I've lost so much weight. I've like been so stressed out, being away from my husband, just working stupid hours. So in my personal experience, yeah, that I believe that to be true based on what I've gone through. Not at all. There's no room for any of that. There's no room for humanity, I feel. They want you, it's like, a production line.
Exactly.
They just want you to keep producing 24/7. I remember there were some mornings where my boss would because I had a work phone, he would message me before 6 a.m. saying, oh, by the time you get in, I need this or whatever. And I'm just like, whoa, 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 whoa. Boundaries, back up.
Yeah.
So yeah, not at all. Gosh, I don't miss it at all.
Yeah. So how long have you been a mother for? How long has this been going? This whole being a mother thing?
Our oldest son, he is 2 and I think 4 months, 2 years and 4 months old. And our daughter just turned 6 months on the 1st of November.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I'm pretty new to this mom space.
So how is the transition now? From going from being that corporate woman to now being a stay-at-home mom, it's it hasn't been that long. How is the transition now from 2 years ago?
I am a completely different person, and people that are the closest to me, they tell me all the time, they're like, we see a change in you. You're so much more happier. I'm more tender. I'm more patient. I'm not so cold.
I wouldn't want to see you cold, Nicole.
Well, I have been called the Ice Queen previously.
Oh my goodness, that's terrible. I can imagine looking at you and hearing your voice. I can imagine that. Well, I can imagine that, and that's scary.
It's an Aquarius thing,
I'm an Aquarius as well. I can understand that. We don't really. If we could stay in our heads and be very linear thinking, we would all the time. But
Yes, exactly. You got it. We don't emote very well, or we don't emote in the sense, I like to society's expectation. So if something happens and someone's sad, they're gonna cry. But for me, crying is kind of weird. like I have my moments when I do shed a tear, and like you have to know if you see me cry, like I'm super angry.
Yeah.
But like, you know, when my children, you know, not right when they were born, but I remember coming home after we had our daughter and I just broke down in tears, and like my husband just knew why I was crying. You know, I was just so like overwhelmed with joy, like, oh my gosh, look at these miracles. Like,
Mm-hmm.
thank God, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have emotions, I swear. They're there, they exist.
Oh, I know. I can feel them. You know, I'm an Aquarius too, so it's not. So if somebody cries, I'm more like, why are you crying? How can I
Right.
how can I help? How can I help get to the bottom of this so you don't have to cry anymore?
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
it's not that it's not that I don't care. It's just that I want to help. I want to help resolve it. You know, not,
Right.
You know, because
Right.
I feel if I'm there with you, then how is that really helping you?
Right, exactly. You got it. See, you get it. It's perfect. You get it. So
Yeah.
not like a lot of people take well to that. So hey.
Yeah, yeah. As an Aquarius, our love is big love. Like, you know, we want to love the world. We want to see humanity heal. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just like, you know. I mean, even if I get into a relationship with a woman, I'm always going to be thinking about how I can make the world a better place. You know what I'm trying to say?
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. You know, I was actually talking to my husband about that the other day. I forget what exactly we're talking about, but I'm just like, my heart hurts. Like I can feel the pain, you know, from, you know, the earth, from the people. It's a lot. Sometimes I just have to like tune it out. I'm like, it's too much. Like I feel like it is crushing me right now. I don't remember what were we talking about? I don't remember what it was, but I think it was like my family, just like the healing that needed to be done. And I'm just like, I feel it. Like they don't want to talk about it, but and I would go to my mom and I'd ask her certain questions like, hey mom, did this happen in our family? Was there any history of sexual abuse? Because my body is telling me a story. I don't know why I feel this way, but I feel this way. You know, why I've never been sexually assaulted, but I navigate the world. I'm hypersensitive of my surroundings. I remember before we had our son, I went to the gym. I started working out again, and I told like my trainer, I'm like, I want strength and stamina. So if someone is chasing me, I am able to run to save my life, you know, taking all these precautions. And I'm just like, why are these things coming up for me? You know, and then like I was really getting into like cell memory and how trauma, like we were talking about, is passed down. And I'm just like, oh my God, did this happen in our family? And, you know, after I started asking questions, there were things that started coming up, and I'm like, I knew it because my body is here telling me a story that, you know what, they never talked about. My grandmother doesn't talk about it. My mom doesn't talk about it. My aunts and uncles, no one talks about it, you know?
Well, I do know, absolutely. Because my mother, I mean, I don't know why she would, but my mother never told me about it. I had to hear it secondhand. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the things that, you know, they say that everything done in darkness comes to light, and
Correct.
the things that they don't want to talk about, well, they're resurfacing.
Exactly. And guess what? Who is that light? It's us.
Right.
We're having to be that light.
Yes.
We're having to be a light. And I talk about that a lot, about the role of empaths, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to, you know, go into our bloodlines and heal the trauma so we can get out of here. You know what I'm trying to say? Because
Yep.
like, let me ask you this: what's your background of faith and spirituality? Like, do you have, you know, like what would you say like you believe in terms of a higher understanding of the world?
Oh boy. I believe in God. I believe in the source. I believe in energy. I grew up as a Christian in many different churches. What was the first one I was baptized into? I think it was Seventh-day Adventist. Then I went to, I don't even remember the denomination, but I went to like the Salvation Army. I was baptized as Catholic. I was baptized as Mormon.
Oh my goodness, you got frequent baptizer miles.
Yeah,
What the hell? You've been in a lot of water.
I know, yes, I have, but the beauty of it is I've learned so much.
Mhm.
And I remember in high school we studied world religions, and that opened up my mind. I learned about like, Buddhism and like Judaism and like different religions, and I'm like, wow, I've like read a little bit of the Quran.
Mhm.
Um yeah, I'm open. I would consider myself more spiritual. I feel
Mhm.
like religion, there's a lot of politics
Yeah.
involved, and I'm not down with that. But I do have a Bible and I read it because I believe there's so much knowledge.
Yeah.
Like once you take away like the politics and
The dogma. Yeah.
the self-serving like agendas,
Yeah.
all that stuff, like it's if you take the Bible for what it is, it's a powerful tool to help you navigate through life,
Yeah.
especially in Proverbs.
Yeah.
Especially in Psalms. Like all the books are good.
Yeah,
but...
yeah. It's funny. I just had a sister who was also a mother who's an empath and a homeschooler, and she's like, "There's a lot of power in the Psalms."
Oh yeah. Whenever you're, putting any magic or working any of that stuff, Psalms is where it's at.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I can hear. Whoa! I can hear.
Yeah, that is my toddler. He is with his dad, and I don't know what they're doing right now.
That's cute. So,
yeah, sorry.
It's all good. Hitting about an hour mark here. Is there anything you want to kind of speak about that you want to talk about? I mean, kind of leading the conversation here. Is there anything on your mind that you want to kind of get off your chest?
I think we covered a lot.
Yeah.
I think we covered a lot.
All right, let's go ahead.
Nope. That's it.
Do you want to talk about your business a little bit and maybe way people can contact you? Do you have a website or just Facebook now or Instagram?
Yeah. So my website is it's a work in progress, but I can be found on Facebook at Wholesome Mind HC, and that's also my handles on Instagram and Twitter as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
yeah,
so
if anyone is, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna repeat it, just because I know you had a lot of background noises. So you said Wholesome Mind MC.
HC, so okay. Wholesome Mind Health Coaching. So the health coaching is abbreviated to HC.
Got it. All right, it came through that time. All right, beautiful. Anything you want to kind of close on here? I know we're about hitting almost an hour mark here.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for your time and for inviting me to be on this beautiful podcast. And I'm so excited for this community and looking forward to connecting with other members. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. It's been a pleasure. Take care.
All right, you too.
Peace. Hope you enjoyed the podcast today. I just recently published a blog on our website, afroempath.com, entitled Social Media Guide for Empaths and Highly Sensitive People. Feel free to check it out. It's just a 5-step guide that I've been following in my life to bring me some personal peace and pleasure from social media. I know a lot of us struggle with the energies that we experience online and the negativity. This guide will basically give you a couple easy to follow steps to take charge of social media again so you can re-enjoy it on your own terms. Peace.